A new movie has joined the top 5 highest grossing movies of all time, and it's not an Avatar movie, it's not an Avengers movie, it's Ne Zha 2. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another video. So today I've got my review of Ne Zha 2. I'd heard nothing but great things about this movie. In fact, I had no clue what it even was like a month ago when it really started to take off. And now it's over $2 billion worldwide and is still racking it up at the box office. This thing could go on to become the highest grossing movie ever made, which is wild to think that about a month ago I hadn't even heard of it. I saw it in theaters yesterday and I got lots to say. In fact, lots of good things to say, so get ready. But before I get into this, hit that like button, comment down below your thoughts on Ne Zha 2, as well as if you plan to watch this one or not. Have you heard of this movie? If not, let me know down below. And of course, subscribe to that notification bell to help reach my goal of 150,000 subscribers here on the channel. It would mean quite a bit. So when it comes to Ne Zha 2, again, I had not heard of this film until about a month ago. It came up in live streams and comment sections, people saying, hey, are you gonna watch Ne Zha 2? It's racking it up at the box office. And then I was like, I don't know. I'd never really heard of it. It's like, oh, it's just some random Chinese movie. I was like, this just probably isn't my thing. It's animated, I'll pass. And so time went on, but the news about this movie did not stop coming. I got a notification that was like, Ne Zha 2 passes The Force Awakens in the all-time box office list. I was like, damn, maybe I should give this thing a go, even though traditionally it's not really a movie that I would think would be my cup of tea. So what I did is I found the first Ne Zha on YouTube and I watched that. I started to watch it on streaming and it was like English dub and I was like, this feels wrong. Like if I'm watching something that's not in English, I want to watch it with subtitles because that's the way the film was made. Like, I'm not into the dubs at all. So I watched Ne Zha 1, right? You can find my review on Letterboxd. I was positive on it. I had a couple issues, but I was just really invested in this world. It was epic. The animation was unique and unlike a lot of things I'd seen. And so I was like, of course, let's go see Ne Zha 2. And I saw it, and I'm just gonna come right out and say it. This is the movie of the year so far. It absolutely rules. And it feels good to finally be able to say that about a 2025 movie, because a lot of them have just been miss after miss after miss. And Ne Zha 2 delivered and then some. This movie is about as epic as they come. I saw things in this film that I never envisioned seeing. Like, there is this level of animation at one point that blew my mind. When it comes to the story, it's a direct continuation of the first movie. Ne Zha and Ao Bing are no longer their physical selves, right? They're just their spirit form, but they end up getting a physical body back. The plot that ensues it's insane. Basically, Ne Zha has to go on like this quest to go through 3 different trials in order to get this like elixir that can allow Ao Bing to have his own body again. It's all craziness. And when it comes to Ne Zha 2, it's like something I've never experienced before, right? I've seen my fair share of DreamWorks animated films, Pixar, Walt Disney animated films. This is completely different because it's not an American movie. It is a Chinese film. And so it's really fascinating to get to see a film in theaters in the US that's such a cultural phenomenon from China. So it's a whole new perspective. There are concepts and ideologies explored here that are not inherently American. And so I was just really almost entranced by all of like the Chinese lore in this film and like the mythology that's explored. It was really interesting storytelling. But let's start with the majority of the pros. I could sit here and gush about this movie forever. First is, I appreciate the hell out of how this movie delivers on character moments, right? One thing about like epic movies that have their fair share of action sequences is you can get lost in the action, right? I'm a huge John Wick fan, and I think a lot of you guys are as well, but I know the big critique of John Wick is like, oh, it's just in-your-face action. There's not enough character development. Well, this movie has balance. Like, to pull from Cobra Kai, this movie masters balance. Every single character has a very emotional journey, but they have their own satisfying arc in a way, especially the character of Ne Zha. He grows so much over the course of this film. A lot of that is due in part to his familial relationship with both of his parents. They have been there with him from the beginning. Obviously, in the first film, everyone views Ne Zha as a demon and they want nothing to do with him. Banish him, basically, right? Well, in this movie, we really get to see how he's more appreciative of his parents, and there's like genuinely heartbreaking moments, scenes between him and his parents that will pull on your heartstrings and you'll have to have your tissues ready. Kind of comparable to like How to Train Your Dragon 2, Hiccup really over the course of that movie becomes the leader he's always meant to be. In this movie, Ne Zha goes on this personal journey, physically taking on these different trials and getting, betrayed throughout the course of the movie. Like, there are a lot of learning moments for him as an individual. And so by the end of the film, He's really at a point where he's learned so much that he's transformed into a new version of himself, not only spiritually, but literally. His journey is like inspiring as hell, and he's one of those characters whose journey like reminds you to keep going. Like, he's a character who makes you want to push yourself and overcome any obstacle that life might throw your way. It's truly uplifting stuff. And on the other hand, you've got the character Al Bing, and Al Bing and Ne Zha are such a fascinating duo because they have this deep friendship that's established in the first film, but they are opposites, you know? Good versus evil on the surface level, but the fact that they're able to set aside their different paths in life and come together as one in unity, again, beautiful filmmaking. And over the course of this film, those two just have some of my absolute favorite moments. So the movie's got tons of heart, the emotions are at an all-time high, but let's also talk about that action. It's out of this world. The first 2 acts of the movie aren't like anything extraordinary. The action sequences are kind of comparable to what we see in the first movie, but the scale is increased tenfold. I mean, they went for it with the size, scale, scope of this movie. There's things I never thought I would see. I mentioned that up front. We've got people tearing holes in the sky, letting dragons come through. You've got these demon hunters fighting against dragons. It's insanity. It is so damn cool. There's not much else I can really even think to describe it except cool as shit. Like, the final 45 minutes of this movie, the only comparison I can think of in terms of big blockbuster filmmaking is like Avengers Endgame. Obviously, that movie was the culmination of like 11 years of a cinematic universe building to one moment, but here it's the culmination of 2 movies, and the battle is larger in scale somehow, and it's just filled with like badass moment after badass moment. There's one specific sequence where the animation style like switches from the norm, and it's one of the coolest uses of animation I've seen in a movie in a long time. Like, the way that there's a clear stylistic change in the movie rocked. It made me want to like pump my fist in the air, and I'm just happy that a movie was able to make me do that in the year 2025. So it's got heart, emotion, the action is in your face, every act has its action sequence, but on top of that, the animation itself, like I've said, stunning. Whether it is fire-breathing dragons, some like multiversal-looking portal, water, whatever it is, everything about the animation excels here to me. And one main idea that Ne Zha 2 hits home on is identity. How we all have a purpose in life, and sometimes you gotta fight your fate. You know, you make your path. You carve your path at the end of the day. It reminds me a lot of my favorite quote from the Back to the Future series. Doc Brown, your future is whatever you make it, so make it a good one. That is, I feel, representative of Ne Zha 2. You choose your path, you can carve your own destiny. Your fate is not written, you write your own fate, and you can fight that thing. And there's just so many moments like that where it makes you want to just go better yourself as a human, because life is worth living. This is one of those movies that reminds you life is worth living through all the highs and lows. Like, Ne Zha and Al Bing's relationship defies all the laws, and it just works. This movie just fires on all cylinders. It's truly epic. It's almost 2 hours and 30 minutes, and I was engrossed from the opening. I will say the film is not spoken in English, obviously, so you have to read subtitles. The one thing I noticed, at least in my theater, was that sometimes the subtitles wouldn't be on screen long enough. You'd have to really speed read. So there was definitely a couple lines of dialogue that I missed in this movie, but I plan to rewatch it in time whenever I can have access to it at home. And I can just like rewind or pause if I need to, because there were just a few instances where it was like zoop, 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 and I was like, whoa, I actually missed a couple words there, unfortunately. And if I have to critique something here aside from that, the first movie's humor missed the mark for me some, and I will say there was a little bit of that cringe humor that didn't really work for me. The literal bathroom humor where, you know, we're doing fart jokes, or, oh, this character's peeing where they shouldn't be peeing. It's like, that's a little too, I don't know, childish for me, but even then, the humor just really didn't click for me there. But I am willing to endure a couple goofy scenes that feel out of place for the overall epic experience that Ne Zha 2 delivers. And I gotta praise one more thing. Ne Zha 2 has so many characters that just work. Like, when you're interested in 5+ characters in a movie or show, that's how you know it's just really well written. And that's the case here. Like, there are moments in this movie where there's a clear misdirection, and so the movie tricks you out believing, oh, this character just did something absolutely vile and wicked, like the lowest of lows in humanity. How could they do something so cruel? And then you get like a little switcheroo thrown on you, and like, ooh, they got me good. They got me. So I will give credit where credit's due. They have some tricks up their sleeves here. Not everything's as predictable as it might seem. and the movie is fresh because of it. It subverts expectations. There's some insane action sequences that are just like incredibly large in scale. I can't even really put it into words. You just have to watch the movie to even visualize what I'm saying, because it's unlike anything I've seen genuinely. And then you've got such great character development and moments. It's just one of those movies that makes you want to change yourself for the better. Ne Zha 2 delivers for me. It lives up to the hype. I understand why this is the box office behemoth that it's become, and it might even be setting up a Ne Zha 3 years down the line that I will be checking out. But I am so happy to say that I gave Ne Zha 1 a chance and then saw Ne Zha 2. The movie absolutely rules. It's like a 9 out of 10 for me, so it's clearly my favorite movie of the year so far. It's going to be hard for one to reach this anytime soon, but Ne Zha 2, well worth the watch. If you guys have been on the fence about checking this one out, I highly suggest it. You can watch the first one for free on YouTube with ads. You can just toss that on. It's like an hour and 40 minutes. Then you'll be prepared to watch this one. Go see it in theaters if you can, because it was worth it. I went in the afternoon on a weekday, and there were people there in the theater. Like, this is a cultural phenomenon for a reason. Do yourself a favor and see this movie. You will not be disappointed, in my opinion. It rocks. But those are my thoughts on Ne Zha 2. Let me know yours in the comments down below, and hit that like button, subscribe into that notification bell, and be on the lookout for more videos coming very soon. But I appreciate you guys for watching as always, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.